Hello, CEDs and chapter leadership. Thank you for joining us for another installment of our CAI Chapter Knowledge Series. Today we'll be discussing reports, specifically types of reports, how to access them, and best practices for using them. There are two primary categories of reports. The first one is the static reports, and the second one is live reports. Static reports provide a monthly data point, providing insights on membership, rebates, and changes to board memberships. These are created by HQ each month and posted to Dropbox after the end of month processing is complete, which is typically between the 5th and the 7th of each month. You have each been provided with two Dropbox links. One is for your chapter reports, and one is for your membership matrix reports. These links can be provided to anyone you'd like to have access to your static reports. These don't expire, they don't require an account or password, and can be accessed in any web browser. When you open a Dropbox link to access the most recent files, it's best to start by sorting the list by modified. Click the column header until the arrow next to it faces down, and this ensures that the most recent files are at the top of the list. Hover over the file and click the download button to save it to your computer. You can ignore the login part, and at the bottom of the pop-up, click Continue with Download Only. In your chapters folder, there are 3 reports added after the end of month processing is complete. The first is the rebate report. This report provides a list of chapter members that have renewed or rejoined in that month, along with the portion of their membership fees that are due to the chapter. At the bottom of the report, you can find the summary for everyone from that month. It's best practice to review this for any missing members and to see what funds will be deposited to the chapter around the 20th of the month. Next up is the Replace report. This provides a list of any changes to personnel within a community association's board membership. It's best practice to review each month and make adjustments to your chapter's membership database. Please note that only chapters with changes to these board memberships will receive a report, so don't be alarmed if you don't receive one every single month. The last report is the Snapshot report. This provides a glimpse of your active membership by membership category and the data used to measure retention percentage. Retention percentage is calculated by adding the number of renewals and rejoins and dividing that by the number of members billed for that month. Your retention percentage can change drastically based on the small sample size and the timing a member may rejoin. It is best practice to average your monthly retention over a period of time, for example, a quarter or a year, to get the most accurate measure. Shortly after the 20th of each month, there'll be 1 to 2 additional files added to your Dropbox folder. The first may be your chapter's PDMP report, which lists any members that have completed an education course through CAI in the previous month and the commission your chapter will receive from the course fees. As with the Replace report, if no members completed a course in the previous month, there won't be a file in your folder. The last file is a copy of your deposit, which would include membership dues, education commissions, and any other money owed from HQ. I will look at the membership matrix reports folder in Dropbox. These reports, posted at the same time as the rebate, replace, and snapshot reports, provide an opportunity to compare active members by membership type, state, and chapter. Now for the state report, the active members are calculated based on their primary address. As such, the active member totals for your chapter may vary compared to the state, even if you're the only chapter in that state.
Here is the live report there. It is going to take you, the page is going to look exactly the same because as Kelly mentioned, this was a website overhaul and not a database overhaul. So it's going to take you to the exact same page. I'm going to show you some of just the basic membership reports first, and then I'll go into some of the other ones. So your full chapter roster is one that you're going to want to pull every month. You'll receive an email from me, as Lawrence mentioned, usually before the 10th of the month, usually around the 7th or 8th, telling you it's time to pull your reports. Now you can pull these reports at any time during the month. These are live reports. The data comes directly from what's in our database. But the reason we tell you to pull them at that time is because we think it's important for you to get a snapshot of where your chapter was that previous month. So when I send you the email around October 7th saying to pull your reports, you're going to go in and you're going to pull them from 9/1 to 9/30 to get a picture of that month. So the first one you want to pull is the full chapter roster. Now, if I'm pulling it at that time, I'm going to want to put the expiration date 9/30. Anytime I go in here and I want to get a snapshot of what's happening that month, I'm going to put the expiration for the end of that month. I think I've heard recently several people using today's date, like they'll use the date that it is, and it's not returning all the members. It's really important to make sure you put the last day of the month there so you get all of the members. And then this is what your full roster is going to look like. It's not going to look as pretty as this. So if you, Lawrence actually just showed me this yesterday, you all probably already know, but if you click right here and highlight all of the records and you click wrap text, it's going to be pretty like this. If you expand this first line right here when everything is still highlighted, then it's going to expand everything for you. I'm a creature of habit, so this is hard for me to look at because I have to scroll more. But if you like this, then you can have it this way. This full roster is pretty straightforward. There are a couple things I do want to touch on, and then I'll answer any of your questions. There is a member record number and an individual contact number. This member record belongs to, like, if there's an organization, it'll belong to the business partner, and this individual contact is going to be to that person. So they're a little bit different there. Your member type is going to be, it's going to have the MGR, CAVLIND, or whatever that is. And then there's going to be a description there. If they are an associate manager, it's going to have an asterisk there. Associate pays for their managers to be members, and so it's notated there. Chapters had asked for us to add that line. These lines are pretty straightforward. You have org name. If they have their AAMC, there will be an asterisk in there. And we've provided you the names, both the full name and first and last. If you print name tags from here or something like that, you have it in those different formats. A couple of other things I want to touch on here is if they keep going here. See, this is, I got to scroll so much. Okay, we added this annual meeting column here. This is for our homeowner leaders. And so if they have provided their annual meeting date to us, it will be here. The reason that's important is because we all know that sometimes the board members will roll over and change. And so this is, you may want to reach out to them when they're having their annual meeting so that you can find out who those new members are. This join date is going to be the date they originally joined. This rejoin date is if they've had a lapse of membership, and that's the last time that they rejoined. The effective date is when this membership was effective, and then of course their expiration date is a year later. If they've signed up for auto renewal, there's going to be an asterisk there, and so you don't have to reach out to them. If you're reaching out to those members who are about to expire, you don't have to do that because they're going to auto renew, hopefully, if they have a good credit card on file. These no mail, no email, no fax columns, there will be an asterisk in there if they've asked not to be contacted in that way. Technically, when you see that, they are asking to not be contacted by the headquarters office. So I would recommend to the chapters, especially if there is a flag in the no email column, that you reach out to them, let them know that the primary way that the chapter communicates is through email, and ask them if you can add them to your email list. can also see the recruiter name on there if they had someone that recruited. If they've had an address change recently, that's on there. And thanks to Bridget, this is actually a line that we recently added. This is the do not show online. So this means that they've asked like on Exchange for their information to not be listed on there. So if you are doing directories and stuff like that, I would reach out to these people and ask if they want their information published. Again, this is saying that they've told us they don't want to have it with the headquarters office, but I would reach out to them because that means they are sensitive to their information being published. Are there any questions on this full roster? One of the other things that we added more recently is this primary billing contact. So you're going to see something in this line if there is a billing contact that's different from the main contact. So you may want to try to reach out to that person, you know, for renewal if they're coming up on their expiration date. Any questions in the chat? All right. The next one is your new member roster. I'm not going to open that one because that one is pretty, it's a lot the same as the others, but you're going to want to pull that at the end of the month. I've heard a lot of chapters will update the new members either every other week. Some like to do it once a week on a Monday, just so there's not so many at the end of the month. Also, a lot of people get anxious if they're not receiving emails from the chapter. So especially if you have an email blast for an event or something like that going out, I would recommend you pull that new member report and update those members. So these two reports, the rejoined and the new and the renew report, we get a lot of questions on the difference between those two. So the renew report is anyone who renews before their expiration date. We start sending out renewal notices 90 days ahead of time. So it's anyone who renews in that window. They're on that, they'll show up on that renew report. And I've had the question, well, their new membership wasn't active maybe until October, but they paid in September. So it's going to show up on your renewal report when the invoice date was. So whenever they paid the invoice, they're going to show up on that report in that month. So you can see, going to over here, maybe you can't, hopefully it's not too small. On the renewal date, you'll see some of these will be active on 10/1 because they expire at the end of the month. This one won't be active until 11/1. So they, again, you can see since they renewed in this month, they're on this report. Any more questions on the renew report? All right. The rejoin report is anyone who rejoins after their expiration date. So say their expiration date is 9/30 and then they don't renew until the middle of October, they're going to be on that rejoined report. If you are automatically keying in member updates, you don't miss the rejoin report. You're going to want to make sure you pull that one to make sure you see anyone who has come back on board. The next report is the expired member report. So a lot of times chapters will want to go back and see who has expired in the past year, and that's okay. You can actually pull any of these reports up to a year back. We just advise you not to pull them past that, but you can pull this expired member report for any date time frame. We encourage our chapters to pull this around the 15th of the month and reach out when people are about to expire. We do a lot of reach outs. Again, we do 90, 60, 30-day touch points, but sometimes it takes a little push from the chapter who they're familiar with. So we encourage you to pull this report. So if I wanted to do that today to find out who still hasn't renewed this month, I would put in the first day of September to the end of the month and be able to pull that report. Now, if anyone renews, they're going to fall off that expired member report. So if you're working with a membership committee and sharing these reports with them, I would advise to update them regularly, because sometimes what happens is they'll make a call and they say, oh, I already renewed, and maybe this report is a month old or so. So make sure if you're having your membership committees call that you give them an updated report. Any questions on the expired member report? All right. These reports that I just shared with you, by show of hands of those that I can see on camera, who automatically keys in all of your data versus uploading a full roster? Who keys in all of their new members, all of their expired member or renewals, all of that? None of you? All of you do a upload of your full roster? Yay. Good, good. So if you don't, there are some chapters who are keying in this data. If you are keying in the data, here's the reports that you're going to need to pull. You're going to want to pull your new member report to add those new members, the rejoined report, the renewed report, and from the renewed report, you will be able to update those expiration dates. The next one you're going to want to pull is this member contact information change report. I'm sure many of you have noticed that this one takes a while to pull. It's because it's pulling from several different places on our database. So I'm going to show this to you because I get a lot of questions about this one. This is how we report to you if there's been changes with member contact information. Now, if you're uploading your full roster, you're golden, because all of that information is going to be on that full roster. But if you are not, and you're manually entering this in, you're going to need to pull this report. And the first thing that you see when you pull this report is there are duplicates. So you see Vote HOA Now is here twice. And the reason that is just the way our database functions. Maybe in the next database, it won't be like this, but this is the way it is for now. And the reason it is because, like, they have in our database, we register it as a national corporate membership, and then we also have to assign them to a chapter. So it's pulling both of those records. You can ignore the duplicates, you can sort it and take them out, however you want to do. But this is going to show you if there were any contact information was changed, so email address, phone number, all of that. It's also going to tell you if there was a relationship change over here. So you can see with Vote HOA Now, they added a new affiliate for 2 members. So you can see that right here. Anyone have any questions about this member contact change report? I do get a lot of questions on that one. All right, so that's one of the ones, if you're keying in manually, you'll want to pull. The next one I want to touch on is the affiliate report. So this is one that we added more recently. It's called BP and affiliate. So those of you who have been here a while know how this works, but for those of you who haven't, our business partners have a primary contact, and that is the person who shows up on your full roster. They get the vote for the organization. They are the one who receives our physical magazine, all of that. The companies can also add affiliates to that membership. And the chapters can kind of decide what benefits that, what that looks like. But at the very least, they should be able to attend your events at the membership rate. For us, what it looks like is the affiliates get access to caionline.org. They can access our publications electronically. They don't get that physical copy of the magazine. Now, if you've pulled this affiliate report, you might think it looks a little short for your chapter. And the reason that is because we aren't going to have all the affiliates that you have in your databases, and that is okay. So typically the affiliates we have in our system are attorneys, insurance professionals, people like that who maybe want CAI designations, they're attending our events, things like that. So we do recommend that you make sure that you pull this affiliate report and add them to your database. We also ask that if you see any changes of people that aren't with the organization any longer, that you send them to address changes so that we can get those updated. And any changes that you have to member contact information can be sent to address changes. If one of my team members would drop that in the chat, that would be awesome. You may have like XYZ landscape company that works with your chapter, and they have like 5 affiliates that you have in your database. Chances are they don't care anything about having access to the headquarters website, and that's okay. So you don't have to communicate that information back to us. Any questions about the affiliate report?
So we do have 2 questions that came in through the chat, Emily. One is, can we add affiliates at the chapter level? And I think you kind of answered that, but can you just reiterate that piece of it, of the difference between adding it with us and at the chapter?
Sure. So most of the time, I was just talking with a new chapter executive director about this. Most of the time, if it's a local company, I would assume they don't care about having access to our website at the headquarters level. And so if they reach out to you, I would just add them to your local database as an affiliate. If they're an attorney, an insurance person, or they've indicated that they would like to have access to the headquarters website, you can send those people to address changes. We also have an affiliate form available on our website that they can fill out and send in, but you can add them that way. For the person who asked that question, did I cover it, or do you have any other questions?
I'm saying yes.
Rainey,
good. Yes.
Covered it?
Yep. Okay. The other question was, are affiliates not members of CAI?
Good question. So Crystal, you can correct me if I say anything wrong on this. With business partners, the business partner company is the member. And then you have a primary contact who is on the list. They get the vote of that organization. So if you're doing a board vote or something like that, they get the vote. And then the others can be added as affiliates for limited benefits. Crystal, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that was great, Emily. Thank you. So the additional people or affiliates are not considered the member, but they receive member benefits. So they can serve on committees, they will receive member pricing. A lot of times, we will not necessarily know who those people are unless they want to receive national emails, but I have found that oftentimes those people want to be in the know only for the chapter because they probably do business locally or regionally. So they may not be as interested, and that's totally fine. But we're happy to also add them on our end as well, but don't want to necessarily overwhelm them. I think that's fair to say, right, Emily?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Did we
questions
answer that
on
question? Great. Any other questions, Kelly? Oh, there's where I can open the chat.
Nope, no other questions at this time.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so I am going to keep on going then. So all of you will need to download that affiliate report. You probably won't see much change from it from month to month, but you will want to make sure that you pull that and update it. Are there any questions on those main membership reports before I move on? Okay. All right, so one of the other reports that we have, which when I was a chapter executive director, this one was super useful to me, that is the designation report. So there's a few ways that I've seen chapters use it, and if you use it a different way, you can definitely drop that in the chat to share as well. If you are ever looking, you just want to know all of the designees in your chapter. Maybe you're looking for a speaker, or you're just trying to get a pulse on how many you have. You can pull this a couple different ways. So you can pull all of the designees that you have in your chapter, or you can pick by designation. If you want to return a full report, you don't have to put in a date time frame here. So I can just press go on this report, and it's going to return everyone in the chapter who has that designation. If, however, you're doing a newsletter, or I've seen some of you recognize new designees in your social media posts, which I think is fantastic, you could pull this for a date time frame. So I could pull this from the beginning of September to the end, and I want to see all my PCAMs, and click go, and it's going to return all of those members.
And just to clarify, Emily, they do need to be members in order for it to pull on the chapter from the chapter report.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kelly. We get lots of questions of people going to our front-facing page, which is Find a CAI Designated Professional. There are people on there, I don't know why they wouldn't want to be members of CAI, but there are people on there who have their designations who are not members, and they are not going to pull on your report here. So if you search there by North Carolina, for example, you're going to get all the people in North Carolina. But if you pull this one, you're going to get the actual members in your chapter. Good point, Kelly. This report looks just a little different, so I'll touch on a couple things here. We give you what their designation is. I just pulled a PCAM report for Alabama. It's going to give you the reward date. So if you're ever curious about, what's the longest standing PCAM in my chapter, you can go look there. It also gives you the recertification date. I don't think chapters maybe you do get questions a lot about when their recertification date is, but you can answer those simple questions and then refer them to our education team if they have any deeper questions. Non-members with designations. Kelly, I don't know where that page is now with our new website, but if someone's able to hunt that down, that would be awesome. Any questions on the designations page? Anyone use it for any other reasons? All right. We have just a couple more here. These are our educated business partner roster. So this is anyone in your chapter who has the educated business partner distinction. Remember, it's not a designation, but a distinction. You may have some names on this report that you don't recognize. So for instance, like our multi-chapter members, we were having trouble with people pulling on their chapter's report. So we opened it up. If like Centennial Bank, for example, is a member, it's going to pull up all the people with Centennial Bank from all of the chapters that have their designation. That's not ideal, but it's the only way that we can make sure that you get all of the information you need, because we were hearing from a couple chapters. I remember this happened to Illinois, that some of their business partners weren't showing up on that report. So they have not discontinued the Educated Business Partner program. It's being offered online only right now. And so these are people that maybe you have taken it in your chapter or who have taken it online. Adina, if you have someone missing, if you'll email Lawrence and myself, we will check into that for you. I'm glad you said, I have someone missing, because if there are people missing from your report, we need to know about that. So please do let us know. Sometime it's like the click of a button within the database or something that gets missed. There's lots of records, 200,000, as Kelly mentioned to you, in that database. And so, it may just be something that was missed. So please do let us know if you feel like someone should be on there and they're not.
Emily, what we found earlier this year, basically we pulled that report for our resource directory. And what we found earlier this year is that one of the names was missing, and he contacted us after it printed. And when we looked online, we did find his record, and it showed that he had the EBP designation. but it hadn't pulled on our report. And I think it's what you're talking about, maybe with that. I think their company primary membership is in Connecticut.
Yeah, let me know. Send that to me so we can look at it. I remember one from, you're with Illinois, right, Adina?
No, I'm with New England.
New England. Okay. So I dealt with this with Illinois and thought we fixed it. So if you can send it to me, that would be fantastic so we can look into it.
Will do. Thank you.
You're welcome. The other report here, the last one, is the board leader certificate. So this is anyone in your chapter who has done that board leader certificate program. This is either through the chapter or online. I think this report is great if you are looking for homeowner. I know I hear from a lot of chapters, they have trouble getting homeowner leaders to serve on their boards or committees. I think this report is a great place to start for that, for recruitment. So that's one thing that I would recommend this report for. And those are all of the reports in a nutshell. I do have a frequently asked questions document that I am updating. So when we share the recording with you, we will be sure to share that. So you have that. We'll also make sure you know where to find the, I call it the chapter matrix cheat sheet. So we'll be sure you know where to find that as well. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we just have a few minutes left. Mahogany, can you elaborate on your question? What is a national member versus a chapter member and maybe where you're seeing that so I can know how to answer?
So on the full list of memberships, some of them are listed as national and some of them are chapter. I get that the chapter members mean that I'm probably not their main chapter, but the national members, is that something different?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. So anytime you see NATL on the roster, it means they are a national corporate member. So they've paid, I think it's $15,000 to be members of all of our chapters. And so they will show up as NATL, sometimes CHM in ATL. It just means that they are another contact that's not the main contact. So those are our national corporate members. One thing I will ask with our national corporate members is that if you have people reaching out to your about to expire or your expired members, please don't have them reach out to the national corporate members. It gets confusing and complicates things. Sometimes those checks are a little bit later to come in. I mean, it's $15,000. So we will communicate in that monthly email that I send to you, as well as the weekly emails. A lot of times we'll say, hey, please continue to give benefits to this company. And so that means that you might have to go in your database manually and extend that expiration date. But please do make sure that you don't reach out to them. If they are showing expired or they're about to expire, we will take care of that. A lot of times they renew. We have very few who don't, but if they don't renew, we'll also let you know, and then we'll let you know, hey, you might want to reach out to them because they might want to do an individual chapter membership. So that's what NATL versus a chapter member. Does that I know that was a lot to answer that one question. Did that answer your question?
Yes, that does answer my question. It's I feel like there's a couple of them that are national or have brought to my attention that they are national. And then I don't see them on the list. Is that possible?
So it is possible. If you don't see them on the list, it means that we may have missed a contact for them. And so if someone on the team would drop Laura Mason's email address in the chat, if they are a national corporate member, you can reach out to her and she will help you get a contact for them. Also, if we'll share the national corporate member page on the website, that might be helpful because you may want to go there first. It lists all of our national corporate members in check. Because I will tell you, when I was at the chapter level, I had people say all the time, I'm a national member. And they weren't. They just paid their membership through us, and maybe they were members of other chapters. So if you ever have that question, you can also reach out to our CAI info. They can give you a little background on maybe what chapters they're members of so that you can let them know. That's a page that I'll share with you as well. It's who to contact on our team between customer service and membership on who to get some of those questions answered for you. All right, well, if you ever run into questions with reports, please don't bang your head against the wall. We're here to help you. We may not have the answer, but we'll try our best to find it. And if you ever see anything missing from them, please do let us know that as well. All right, have a great day, everyone.